Let's go gambling!
Aw, dang it. Aw, dang it. Aw, dang it. Aw, dang it.
Good afternoon, jank enthusiasts. I'm MBT, and this is 10-Minute Testing. Battles of Legend Terminal Revenge is right on the horizon, so I guess we have to talk about the only thing anyone online wants to talk about, the single most pushed card in Yu-Gi-Oh's existence. A card so broken, so powerful, it can make even Genex look playable. Presenting Genex. So here's the list. As always, I'll give you a background about the archetype, a little bit of a discussion about what I hope the deck can do, and of course, the card by card. But first, this video is sponsored by Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Deck. I've been shilling Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Deck for, well, years at this point, and I'm happy to announce I have no intention of stopping anytime soon. By now, they've become the most complete repository of tournament tops on the internet, the best place to jam prog with friends, and of course, still host strategy articles. Recently, they've added a new piece of infrastructure to the fold, a 3-card arena draft, draftable with card pools featuring classic formats, Master Duel, or within any parameters you like. Give it, or any of their other features, a look at www.ygoprodeck.com. With that, let's gander at Genex. Duel Terminal was a dark time for Yu-Gi-Oh! From Worms to Ice Barrier, it was an awful period to be consuming cardboard. It's responsible for about a dozen of the archetypes widely considered to be Yu-Gi-Oh's worst of all time. But none of them were worse than Genex. Genex is a series of, God, I don't even really know, machines with different attributes. That's about what passed for engaging archetypes during Duel Terminal. These monsters were mostly forgotten for decades, with a couple of standouts like Birdman, Neutron, and Undyne used as combo pieces in different, better decks as far away as possible from their native archetype. Until now. Repair Genex Controller is a Link monster coming out this week, and it's, broken to hell. Once per chain, when a Genex is added to your hand, you can normal summon a Genex. And would you look at that, all the R Genexes and some of the original Genexes are balanced around the fact that getting to normal summon 2 of these assholes would require an act of God. This has completely changed the deck from a handful of Stratoses to Fluanderees. Just one problem though. Literally every card in here is dog water with the exception of the Link. As a result, you've got to play as much protection for this nuclear bomb as possible, from Crossout to Eagle Booster, hell, maybe even Soravis. And if your opponent has a response and you don't, you lose on the spot. Expect this TMT, and the deck's gameplay in general, to be half shame scoops and half snore-inducing YouTube combos. So with that, let's get into the card by card. First, we've got one of the few actually interesting and good monsters, Genex ally Birdman. This card just got an alt art and can return a face-up monster you control to the hand to special summon this card and banish it when it leaves the field, and gains 500 attack if the returned monster was wind on the field. The important part here is you're going to be able to recycle some of your Genexes that you absolutely have to over the course of your chain, but importantly, it's also a tuner. After that, we've got some Stratoses. Our Genex Turbo, when normal summon, can add a Genex monster from your deck to your hand. Genex Power Planner, when normal summon, can add a level 3 Genex effect monster from your deck to your hand. Our Genex Magma, when normal summon, can add a level 2 R Genex monster from your deck to your hand. Our Genex Crusher, when normal summon, can add a level 4 R Genex monster from your deck to your hand. And a couple of new boys as well. Our Genex Undyne just came out. Once per turn, you can banish a Genex from your graveyard. This card becomes that attribute. Then if you banished a tuner, this card can be treated as a tuner this turn. If you control a Genex Synchro, you can target 2 Genexes in your graveyard, including this card, add them to your hand, and banish any card sent to your graveyard for the rest of the turn. We're playing 2 Controller, which is a lot better when it can be part of a normal summon, 1 Undyne, one of another new card, our Genex Turing, which during your opponent's main phase, if you control a Genex monster, can special summon from your hand, then immediately after this effect resolves, Synchro a Genex Synchro monster, and if this card on the field is used as Synchro material for a Genex, it can be treated as a level 1 or 3 monster. Finally, we're on 1 copy of Genex Recycled, which once per turn allows you to select a Genex monster in your graveyard, and this card becomes that card's name until the end of the turn. After that, we've got some just generally good stuff. 3 Bonfires, because we're playing some Pyros. 2 Sky Striker Mecha Eagle Booster. I'll have to engage with this just momentarily. There's a number of cards that prevent your opponent from interacting with a card on your side of the field. Eagle Booster is one of them, but of course there is also Soravis. There's also Crossout Designator. All of them have weaknesses. Eagle Booster specifically is the one I think has the fewest weaknesses, but make no mistake, this doesn't actually do anything. If your opponent's smart, ideally they won't be. How often are they going to play against Genex? They'll just wait for you to normal summon once so you have a monster in your MMZ, and this card is offline before interacting with your Genex repaired controller, because guess what? It triggers every time. After that, we've got 3 Ash, a Nibiru, a Ghost Mourner, an Ogre, an Effect Veiler, a Droll, 3 Crossies, 1 Called By, and 3 Infinite Impermanence in the extra. We've just got a lot of synchros. So here's the second frustrating part about this strategy. Despite the fact that these cards can perform Cold Fusion, almost no one online has dedicated a reasonable amount of time to labbing out combo theory. We tried some stuff for this that I think is defensible, but there are a ton of different ways you can play with these cards. We're just going to be making powerful synchro boards, the new synchro, Dispotter is a negate, etc., hand looping, but you can functionally do whatever you want, provided you're playing 2 copies of this card. Repaired Genex Controller can be only special summoned once per turn, and if Link summoned can add a Genex from your graveyard to your hand, then once per chain if a Genex monster is added to your hand except by drawing it, you can immediately after this effect resolves normally Genex monster, and you can't special summon from the extra deck for the rest of the turn except by synchro summoning using a Genex tuner as material. The other important card in this extra deck is Duels, Tiger King of the Ice Barrier, which can target any number of face-up cards you control, return those targets to the hand, then this card gains 500 for each card returned to the hand by this effect until the end of the turn. This allows you to double up on all of your Stratoses and is just integral to anything you expect to do. We're playing outside of that a Herald of the Arclight, a Mary Malphys, a TG Hyper Librarian, an Ancient Fairy Dragon, an Ass Dragon as part of a hand loop combo, this jerk, 1 copy of Draco Berserker, the Tenyi and Adamancipator Risen Dragite, a Trishula performing its old function of hand looping for 1, a big Chungus, a Dispotter to cycle that Omega and also provide a negate, and this card, the other new addition to the deck, Arms of Genex return 0. It's kind of a generic 10, 1 Dark Tuner and 1 non-tuner monster. When your opponent activates a monster effect, you can banish a monster from your graveyard with the same attribute as the monster, but a different one, then banish to activate the effect of Arms of Genex return 0 this turn, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that monster. Then once per turn, you can target up to 6 of your Genex monsters with different attributes that are banished in your graveyard, shuffle them into the deck, then destroy that many cards in the spell and trap zone in the side. We've just got a ton of generic going second options. We're also playing that 3rd copy of Eagle Booster for going first, when our opponent is going to be on a less generic suite of hand traps, and we can be a little more loose with our crossout designator. So with that, let's get into the games. Our first match is up against Tenpai. Like Tenpai is wont to do, you can see that our opponent has opened 3 pieces of non-engine and a starter, but unfortunately for them, we've opened 2 cards that beat a piece of non-engine, and of course, we aim to prevent that Forbidden Droplet from doing anything relevant anyway. We're going to begin with a copy of our Genex Turbo. Afterwards, we're going to go into a repaired Genex Controller and trigger the effect. They're going to go Ghost Ogre, we're going to go Crossout Designator, they're going to go Infinite Impermanence, we are going to go Sky Striker Mecha Eagle Booster. Okay, at resolution of all of that, we're going to resolve the effect of our controller and grab back that our Genex Turbo, and what do you know, we added a Genex to our hand. Let's go ahead and normal summon an our Genex Turbo, and here we go. We're going to trigger the effect of the controller for Power Planner. We're going to trigger Power Planner for Birdman. We're going to trigger the controller for Power Planner. We're going to trigger Power Planner for Undyne. We're going to go ahead and normal summon that copy of Undyne. We're going to use the effect in order to send the new Undyne to the graveyard and grab a controller. Then we're going to go ahead and normal summon that controller. Now, importantly here, the only thing you really need to manage is how to get Genexes back into your hand to start the controller train once again. Duels is one way, so we'll go Turbo here to grab a copy of Recycled, and then afterwards we'll do the whole thing again. Power Planner here for a copy of Magma, and then we'll normal summon the Magma in order to grab a copy of Turing. Then we will go ahead and normal summon this Recycled. Next, we'll go for Hyper Librarian, and Birdman is another way that we can trigger the effect of the Repair Genex Controller, so we'll do that. We'll go for Turbo once again. We'll grab ourselves a copy of Power Planner. We'll go for Controller for Turing, and then we'll make an Ass Dragon. We'll go Ass Dragon 2, TG Hyper Librarian 1, draw a card, and go into Return 0. From here, we can draw another card. It's a Called By, thank goodness, into an Omega, and let's get ripping. We'll go for the R Genex Undyne here in order to grab a couple of cards back. That also triggers controller, so here we can go Genex Power Planner in order to grab again. Now, notably, this copy of Return 0 can shuffle cards from the banished zone back into the deck, so when Birdman is banished by its own effect, we can still get it back into the deck and therefore make it searchable by looping the effect of Return 0. Here, we're just going to go Trishula. We're going to put one of those Birdmen back so that we always have fodder, and one card in hand I'm not too concerned about. Let's go for a Birdman. We'll trigger the effect of the controller. We'll normal summon a copy of Power Planner. We're running out of targets in deck at this point, as you can see. We'll go for another normal. We're going to get Recycled, and we'll go into Dispotter. Dispotter is going to summon back this copy of Omega, and now we have 0 cards in hand versus 1 negate. Let's make it 2 just in case. Our opponent draws for turn. It's an Ash Blossom, so they're just going to scoop them up. Now, the funny thing about this combo is it doesn't even always win the game. Our second match is up against Voiceless Voice, and you can see they've only drawn one piece of non-engine, although it is a very good one. Provided we're able to hit it, we still should be able to clean this one up. We'll begin with a copy of Controller. We'll go Controller for Turbo. We'll go Turbo to grab a copy of Power Planer. We're going to normal summon that copy of Crusher. We'll trigger the effect of the Crusher in order to grab new Undyne, then we'll trigger the effect of the Controller to summon Power Planer. Power Planer here is going to grab old Undyne, then of course we can go ahead and normal summon that bad girl. We'll trigger the effect of old Undyne, send new Undyne, and grab a copy of Controller. Down comes the Controller, and let's begin Synchro Summoning. First, we're going to go for Duels. 3 of those back to the hand. That triggers the effect of the Controller, and we can start Stratosing once again. Down comes Power Planer. We'll trigger the effect. Grab ourselves a Birdman. Down comes our Genex Turbo. We'll trigger its effect, and grabs us another copy of Power Planer. Genex Controller into Crusher. Crusher effect. Let's go ahead and get new Undyne, and then afterwards we'll normal summon it. We'll trigger the effect of new Undyne, and we'll go into a copy of Return 0. Then we'll start Birdmanning. Birdmanning comes down. We'll go for the effect of the Controller into Power Planer into another Birdman, and let's make Hyper Librarian. Birdman putting back the Power Planer, summoning itself, and Controller summoning this Power Planer. Power Planer grabbing this copy of our Genex Magma. Let's go Omega and start hand ripping. That's 1 down. We'll go Return 0 here. Let's start shuffling back those copies of Birdman so that we don't run out. We'll trigger the effect of the one in hand here, which starts the Controller train once again. Power Planer coming down for a Birdman into, of course, a normal summon of the Genex Turbo. We will go from deck to hand another copy of Power Planer into Ancient Fairy Dragon, which is a free special summon. We'll go for the Recycled into a Trishula. That is card number 2. From here, we can go for our Genex Undyne in order to add a couple of cards back, and what do you know? That also triggers the Controller. Let's go for Power Planer. Let's trigger the effect of the Controller. Let's go for Recycled and make Dispotter. Dispotter here is going to bring back this copy of Omega, and we will rip another card out of our opponent's hand. We'll go Birdman and end on a couple of negates here. We'll go Controller, grab ourselves a Magma, trigger the effect of the Magma, and grab a Turing. There's Herald of the Arclight. We'll set 1 and pass. Unfortunately, our opponent draws Dark Ruler off the top. That's right, there are individual cards that beat this strategy, and that's one of them. They're going to go Saphira here, grab a Surveillus. They're going to go for the effect of Saphira to summon this copy of Skull Guardian. Skull Guardian grab low, and then normal summon the low. Low's going to set Ritual Cage, and then afterwards, they're just going to be able to activate that to grab a copy of, well, main deck Saurvis. They'll summon that out, then they're going to go to the battle phase and clean up what they can. Here, that is mostly everything. They'll go Anima main phase 2 to take the Dispotter into a Dynamondo to stop the Genex Magma. The last thing on our board is this Repair Genex Controller. We'll draw for turn. They're going to go Dynamondo in order to try and get their negate back online. While they still don't have the negate live, we're going to go for an Eagle Booster. They will chain Saurvis in order to summon a copy of Saurvis, the Ancient and Ascended. From here, they can bring back the low, trigger the effect of the low, and immediately set the Steeds. We'll bring back the Omega. We'll normal summon the Turing. They're going to go for Radiance here, popping our entire board. We'll chain Omega, but unfortunately, there's not really too much we can do after that, so we'll scoop it up. So it's time for game 3, and you know what that means, a best of 3 versus meta. And what is our opponent on but Snake Eye? All right, we're going to begin with a copy of Bonfire. No, it's not a mirror match. We're going to lead our Genex Magma. That's going to grab us a Turing, and it's Controller time. Controller target Magma, and we'll activate the effect of Controller for Crusher. I don't know how much longer I want to commentate this. I mean, you all saw it already. What possibly could you glean by watching this play out an additional time? Anyway, we'll go Undyne pitch, Undyne for Controller. Let's go ahead and normal summon that Controller, and it's time for Duloran. Yippee! You remember when Gage bought those Dulorans? They were like DT ulties. He was like, I got these on the cheap, buddy. And then it turned out that he didn't know that it had been eroded. Great day to be Gage. Great day to be Gage. You can play it in something. We're going to activate the effect of the Genex Oracle into Controller, into Recycled, into Hyper Librarian, into Birdman. Holy. Down comes our Genex. You know, we were thinking a lot about Hyper Librarian in this combo, and we're playing it mostly because it's a 5-star synchro, but there are some scenarios where you don't actually want to proc it, because if you draw too many of the cards that you want to search off of cards like Power Planner, it just hard stops your combo. It's so funny that this deck is in a position where, like, it can draw your whole deck, and that would be a bad thing to do. We're going to go into Trish, grab another card from the hand. Okay, now we know what they're up to, if we didn't already from the Diabell Star. We're going to go for the Birdman here, which starts the train all over again. Power Planner. We'll go ahead and normal summon this copy of Undyne, go into an Ancient Fairy Dragon. That's a free special. Let's bring out this Recycled and make a Dispotter. Dispotter, loop the Omega. Let's go for the Omega once again. Can we get that triple attack? We can, thank goodness. Return 0 here, put back one of our Birdmen, and then afterwards we'll activate the one in hand in order to get the controller train running again. We will normal summon this Power Planner, grab from deck to hand another Birdman, and make a Changing. Afterwards, we're going to go Birdman, summon it, and controller to normal summon a Power Planner. That's a Herald of the Arclight. Good luck to our opponent. They have 2 Ash and a Bonfire, which is not sufficient. They'll go Ash, we will return 0. That sucker, get him out of here. They'll Bonfire. They can at least get to Poplar here. They'll activate the effect. We will negate it with a Dispotter, and they'll just go ahead and scoop him up, I imagine. No, they're going to threaten evenly matched. Okay, all right, I get it. We'll kill him the old-fashioned way. Bada bing, bada boom. Let's go to game 2. So it's time for game 2, and, well, I don't know what you expect. Our opponent's going to begin with what else? A copy of Bonfire. That's going to grab from deck to hand an Ash. They're going to normal summon the Ash and go for a Poplar. They'll trigger the effect of the Poplar in hand. They'll activate the effect of the Poplar, and they will grab from deck to hand a copy of the Field Spell. Down comes the Wanted. We'll go ahead and grab Snake Eye Diabell Star, then we'll special summon the Diabell Star, the Black Witch. I love this line. Next, they're going to go for the Divine Temple of the Snake Eyes, setting an Ash into directly Celine. If Poplar is CL2 here, they're going to be able to get 3 counters on that bad girl, and then they'll summon out this copy of Diabell Star. They're going to go OSS afterwards for Ash, for Oak, and then trigger the effect of the Oak for the Ash. Afterwards, they're going to go ahead and use the effect of Snake Eye Diabell Star to summon itself, and Oak sending the Ash in order to get a Flamberge. From here, they can go into a copy of Saruya Skuldread. Okay, this is not exactly where I expected this going. They're going to go ahead and summon back the Ash and the Oak, and then they're going to go for Pressured Planet Wraithsoth. They're going to grab a copy of Fenrir to hand, then special out the Fenrir with the Skuldread. That's cool. They're going to go into an IP Masquerena here, into a Promethean Princess. Promethean Princess, bring back the Snake Eyes Flamberge Dragon, set the Masquerena, and then afterwards we can make a Hita into an Apollosa. They'll go Birth here. Birth can bring back this copy of Fenrir, and then afterwards they can trigger the effect of the Wanted Seeker, since full spoils to draw a card and pass turn. We'll draw for turn. They're going to go for Snake Eyes Flamberge Dragon in draw, and in main phase we will activate Bonfire of our own. We will grab our Genex Magma, normal summon it, go into a controller, activate the effect of the controller, and then activate the effect of the controller into the Fenrir. Well, that was fun. We'll go Power Planner, they'll negate. I guess theoretically we can Birdman. All right, let's just go next. So it's time for that all-important game 3, and only 1 card that plays through non-engine versus 2 of our opponents. Well, we did draw the combo, so let's go our Genex Turbo. We're going to go into a copy of Power Planner, into Controller, into Infinite Impermanence. Okay, that warrants a cross-out designator, but unfortunately it means that this Nibiru is going to come down very hard. We'll bring back this copy of Turbo, we'll special out the Turbo, we'll activate Turbo, we're going to grab a copy of Power Planner. Genex Controller here to normal summon the Power Planner effect in order to grab from deck to hand a Birdman. We'll activate the effect of the Genex Controller for a Power Planner effect, and down comes the Rock. Okay, the Rock into, I guess, the Undyne. We'll set 1 and pass. Our opponent draws for turn. Afterwards, we're going to go ahead and normal summon a Snake Eye Ash. Well, that's all she wrote. We'll go for the Infinite Impermanence, but unfortunately they do have a follow-up play in this Wanted Seeker of Sinful Spoils. They're going to go Snake Eye Ash to clear the field so they can special Unicorn. That's funny. And grab a copy of Birth. They're going to special summon the Diabell Star, the Black Witch, activate the effect to set an OSS, and then they're going to overlay for a Dracosac. Not necessary. You know we're not playing non-engine. 2 tokens to their side of the field, into IP Masquerena, into Birth, into bring back this copy of Kashtira Unicorn, into an Apollosa before they commit to the effect of OSS. They'll go Oak here, Oak to bring back this copy of Ash, and then afterwards they can just go ahead and activate the effect of the Oak, sending the Ash in order to grab a copy of Flamberge. Flamberge. We'll go ahead and set this copy of IP Masquerena. They'll activate the effect of the Wanted, draw Wanted, go to the battle phase, and get in for 3k, but this is pretty much locked up. They're going to set 1 card and pass back to us. We're going to go for Undyne here. They're going to Flamberge their Masquerena. We're going to go into a controller, activate the effect of the controller. That's going to be met with Apollosa. They're going to go Masquerena at res to go into an SP Little Knight, and trigger the effect of the SP Little Knight and the Flamberge, banishing our controller, and summoning to their side of the field an Ash and an Oak. Ash is going to go ahead and get Poplar, and we're going to scoop. So we're back with the deck, and wow, you're still awake. All right, well, let's do the pros and cons. First, the pros. 1, the new Genex link is the whole centralizing point of the deck. Its ability to give you nigh endless normal summons means the plethora of Genex searchers give you so many branching paths and combo routes to explore and optimize. 2, if uninterrupted, the deck puts out huge, hard-to-break boards for most decks out there. Hand-ripping 3 and having 3 negates on the field, it's a big deal to break. And 3, if it ever comes to Master Duel, Locomotion or Genex is an option, and has an animation. And the cons. One, there's only one con. One big con. One huge con that makes this deck completely not worth playing at all. And that's that if your Genex link gets negated, or destroyed, or drolled, or shiftered, then you lose on the spot. You play a lot of non-engine to compensate, like Eagle Booster and Crossout and Called By, maybe Soravis, and there are going to be some extenders if you're ashed, but if you're defenseless, one hand trap will end your turn immediately. Having to play all these preventative non-engines means you can't run many defensive cards and play well going second, so you're stuck with all these Crossout targets and Ash and Imperm. It's not a good look. Also, in general, this hardly bears repeating, if you go second and don't have your breakers sided, you are cooked. Again, this deck folds to one negate. Overall, if you like playing Solitaire, doing 50 normal summons, hand looping your opponent to oblivion, this is your kind of deck. However, if you'd rather not immediately scoop to any interruption in most of your games, maybe give this one a miss. So that's that. Thanks so much for watching. These 10-minute testings are functionally subsidized by, and occasionally suggested by, my Patreons. I'm going to go ahead and read out some of the higher tier Patreons now, without whom these videos would not be possible. Huge thanks to Elena Tincher, Alex Perea, Allison Elliott, Ally, Brett Henry, Canner, Seaweed, Darkmaster Zork, Derpin Dragon, Devin Senpai, DJ Elefante, Gravity, John Piet, Juan Cruz Avila Zati, Night Mary, Legal Rights, Lockstone, Luis Hernandez, Matthew M. Derezzo, MBT Play Madolce, soon, Mike Carlotti, N54 Lionheart, Nebula Yu-Gi-Oh!, Project Mercury, Rose Lapine, Troy Says By Erasure Is Gay, Vincent Storm, Who's Nick, Wonder Waffle, Your Pot of Greed Does What, and Yuki. Couldn't have done it without you.